Arthur. While you might not know him, you've probably surely heard of him, or at least heard of something like him. But in case you haven't heard of him, he's an 8-year-old aardvark from a TV show of the same name, which ran from 1996 all the way up till 2022, I think. It might have ran less than that or longer, I actually don't know. Throughout its run on TV, Arthur taught children, and even some grown-ups, and between, many valuable lessons, such as how you shouldn't steal, how you shouldn't bully other people, and also how you shouldn't make fun of other people just because you think the clothes they're wearing look ridiculous on them. Many lessons were taught by Arthur in many great ways. Okay, well, not all the lessons were taught as good as what PBS probably hoped. Such as that last one that I just mentioned. Yes, that's the episode we're going to be talking about today. So funny I forgot to laugh. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. What? Why are you talking about that episode? That is literally the worst episode of Arthur ever. Even probably worse than Arthur's big hit. Well, if this is to become a series of me talking about Arthur episodes, then the point of the series would be for me to talk about why I enjoy Arthur, as it is my favorite TV show. And so if I'm going to be talking about why I like it, then then it doesn't really make sense to talk about the good episodes first and then end off with the bad. And also because I want to talk about this episode first, just so I can get out of the way. Now, for those of you who know this episode, you guys already know, like, why people dislike this episode. It's like, this is considered by most people to be one of the worst episodes of Arthur ever. Do I consider it to be the worst episode of Arthur ever? Well, no. There's actually another episode of Arthur, which I think it's worse than this one, and also worse than, well, Arthur's big hit. I couldn't think of the name of the episode for a second there. Sorry for the constant camera shaking, guys. But anyways, let's get on with the episode recap. The episode starts with Sue Ellen writing in her journal about an oversized yak wool sweater she received from her friend overseas in Tibet, which I think is in India. She describes how the sweater used to make her happy, but recently looking at it just reminds her of how some people can be jerks. We then cut to a title card, which follows us up to a day of school. It's snowy outside. Buster and Francine talk to each other about how cold it is, with Buster remarking that his ears are still frozen. Oh, also, by the way, guys, I'm not going to be showing you any clips from the show. Instead, I'm just going to be showing you images like I am right now. Buster remarking that his ears are still frozen. So Ellen tells Buster he should wear a sweater made of yak wool and get a Tibetan pen pal. Just then, the star of the show himself arrives to tell Sue Ellen what he thinks of her sweater, saying it makes her look like a sheepdog, proving that he has even worse eyesight than we thought. Everyone thinks Arthur's joke is funny at first. Even Sue Ellen does. Eventually, though, the joke gets old, very quickly, as Arthur gives the same joke continually over and over again, back and forth, with no sign of stopping. Sue Ellen tells Arthur continuous times to stop, but Arthur thinks nothing of it. Later, Sue Ellen tells Mr. Ratburn about Arthur's behavior, and Mr. Ratburn decides to have a talk with Arthur. Arthur is shocked to hear that he's been a bully and is unable to believe it. I feel like that's a redundant sentence. Much like everyone of us who watches the episode. I mean, is it really Arthur the bully? You'd think it'd be someone like, say, Binky or Francine or whatever. trying to find my... Hold on, guys, I'm trying to find my plays. Mr. Hepburn tells Arthur to think how he would feel if people teased him for what he wore because before continuing that bullying is not a tolerable act at Lakewood. Despite the fact that Francine bullied Arthur for running glasses, and yet he didn't step in. Then again, though, Arthur never really did bother to tell Mr. Hepburn. Wait a minute. He wasn't even in Mr. Hepburn's class when that happened. You know what I mean, surely. No, hopefully you guys know what I mean. Arthur promises to stop bullying Sue Ellen. Mr. Hepburn is pleased to hear. However, he is not quite done yet, as he orders Arthur to write an apology letter to Sue Ellen. Later that day, Arthur is at the Sugar Bowl with Buster, complaining about his unfair... I couldn't show you both of my hands, so I had to do that twice. Punishment, stating that she should apologize to him for snitching. Buster tells Arthur off by saying that Sue Ellen did tell him to stop multiple times. Arthur claims that she was just being oversensitive about a small, very, very terrible joke. Buster replies to this, saying that Sue Ellen didn't seem oversensitive to him, and that he's the oversensitive one. Arthur tells Buster that he's not oversensitive, he's just weird. Buster gets offended at Arthur and lashes out, telling him to take back his harsh words. A frightened Arthur quickly apologizes so as to avoid becoming the gluttonous rabbit's next meal. Buster then tells Arthur that his apology won't be that hard. If only. Later that night, or the next day, I don't really know, Arthur writes an apology letter to Sue Ellen. In the letter, he accuses Sue Ellen for lacking any sense of humor, and then makes a callback to the first episode of the show, saying how he used to be teased for wearing glasses, but he never thought of telling the teacher. He then ends the letter by saying that she might just be overreacting. Francine and Muffy and Sue Ellen are shocked at Arthur's letter. They all decide to not talk to him until he gives Sue Ellen a better apology. Even Buster. At lunch, Arthur goes to his very perturbed friends, who all refuse to talk to him. Who all refuse to say a word to him. Arthur asks what's going on, and Buster tells Arthur that they're not speaking to him by speaking to him. Francine and Muffy call Buster out for this. Arthur, confused, asks why, and Buster says that he would tell Arthur, except he isn't speaking to him. Francine and Muffy then decide to leave the table and go to a table without any bullies at it. Hypocrisy much. Arthur, still desperate to know what's going on, asks Buster again, and Buster tells Arthur that it was because his letter to Sue Ellen was the worst thing ever written, even worse than this episode. After school, Arthur catches up to Sue Ellen to try and apologize. Sue Ellen asks Arthur if he still thinks she overreacted. Arthur says nothing, and Sue Ellen walks away without accepting Arthur's still very much insincere apology. Later at home, Arthur is moping about Later at home, Arthur is moping about in his unearned self-pity for something or something when he decides to call up Buster. Buster, not wanting to talk to Arthur, pretends to be an answering machine before ruining the audible illusion by telling Arthur bye before hanging up. Arthur complains that his punishment is so unfair. That night, Arthur creates a picture of Sue Ellen with the head of a sheepdog, or maybe it's some other dog, I actually don't know. He then sends up the picture, feeling bad a second too late, or maybe even a plank time too late, which, by the way, guys, yes, a plank time is an actual passage of time. Look it up, if you want to. Afterward, Sue-Ellen receives the picture, and as anyone would expect, then ends up being the straw that broke the camel's back. Sue-Ellen talks to her parents, or maybe it was just her mother, who cares, about what's going on. Something which, now that I think about it, I'm surprised it took her until now in the episode to think of telling even one of her parents. Though I guess I shouldn't be too surprised since the whole episode is poorly written. Later at school, Arthur is sitting at the tough customers table at lunch when Francine and Muffy come to yell at Arthur. Arthur thinks they're going to yell at him about the email, to which Francine and Muffy are clueless. They then tell Arthur that they've come to yell at him for making Sue-Ellen want to switch schools. Arthur is once again shocked, asking why. The two hypocrites tell Arthur that it's because she doesn't want to be in a class with a bully, which only raises the question of why she hadn't thought of switching schools sooner, since Francine and Muffy are the biggest bullies in Mr. Ratburn's class. In fact, I feel like Muffy and Francine have been bullies in the show way more often than even Binky has. And that's saying something, because Binky in the show, he's referred to as the resident class bully, oftentimes in the show. So Arthur goes to find Sue-Ellen at the clothing drive box, only to see that only her sweater is there. Arthur picks up the sweater, stating that she can't be leaving because of him. Oh yes, she can. Arthur then finally thinks about his actions and realizes he really was being a jerk. The next morning, Arthur, wearing Sue-Ellen's sweater, meets up with Sue-Ellen and gives her a genuine apology. He then says that he will wear the sweater for the rest of the year. Sue-Ellen accepts Arthur's apology before saying she wants her sweater back. Arthur admits that it's the warmest thing ever created. Sue-Ellen agrees, adding that it is also soft. She then states that it makes Arthur look like a mouse, which I'm guessing is supposed to be a reference to how people confused Arthur with a mouse. Well, I mean, they still do, but probably so. The episode ends after this. My review on this episode, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, miraculously, but there are many problems. One, while I suppose Arthur being a bully isn't too unbelievable, he's still very out of character. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I've seen moments where Arthur can, like, be a bit, not as nice as you would expect. It's just in the episode Arthur in the Crunch Cereal Contest, when he yells at all of his friends and even some of his family members for not playing the song he wanted them to, and also in other instances too. But in this episode, he's just, I don't know, he just seems too out of character. 2, Francine and Muffy make things even worse with their hypocrisy. Like, they say that Sue-Ellen doesn't want to be in a class with a bully. Yeah, maybe look at yourselves in the mirror next time you say that, Francine and Muffy. You don't have a leg to stand on. Neither of you have a leg to stand on, as you two are, as I've said before, are two of the biggest bullies in Mr. Ratburn's class. Maybe even the entire school. 3, again, what good reason would Sue-Ellen have to wait until close to the end of the episode to tell her parents about how Arthur was treating her, when she could have said something earlier? I mean, maybe she thought it would pass on, but still, I mean, that would have solved the problem much sooner. Or maybe it would have made the problem much worse, I don't know. Now, whether I think you guys should watch this episode or not, well, now do I think you guys should watch this episode or not? Well, with any episode of the show, even bad ones, all I'm gonna say is, feel free to watch it if you want, but just know that there are better ones out there. And there are also worse ones. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. And if you guys have any suggestions of what I should do in my next video, then please tell me. And also, guys, if you like this video, please tell me. And if there's an Arthur episode that you want me to review in my next video, please tell me. Basically, just anything you want to tell me, please tell me. And in case you guys are wondering what episode I think is the absolute worst episode, because remember I said that I don't think that Arthur's Big Hit or So Funny I Forgot to Laugh are the worst episodes of Arthur. Alright, I'll tell you. The episode that I think is the worst episode of Arthur is All Will Be Revealed. But we'll talk about that another time. Alright, well, bye.